right, so the question today is a typical, I would say, design question, very, very broad at the beginning, you know, like the question statement is very broad. So let's try to tackle it. And what I would like, you know, for you guys to do is, you know, to do it together, is start to think about how we're going to structure this. What makes sense to you, and we can come up with a framework for that. Okay, so the question is design an app, a health app for children. So let me, okay, is this, so it's design health app for children. So what would you do first if you're in an interview and they ask you this question?
Lots of clarification questions.
Mm-hmm.
Something like define children, like what is the age group? One thing, what do you mean by app? Is it a PC app, phone app? It has to be a digital solution. What are you looking for? Why are we building this? Is there a particular pain that we discovered? You know, just, you know, the reasoning behind a particular health app. It sounds like a very solution focused question to me. So just would like to understand more on the why part. Mm-hmm. And health, what kind of health, right? Mental health, physical health. They're trying to, you know, get children to get healthier, get them to learn more about health kind of knowledge, or kind of, you know, ask even like, you know, for children to get doctors.
What was the other one? Mental health, right?
Yep.
I guess this is more like preventative health. Okay. Good questions. Any other questions?
I mean, you could also ask to see if the children are like your average child, or are they children with special abilities, just so that you know who you're targeting.
I'm sorry, the type of abilities?
Yeah, like basically, are they disabled? Do they have any disabilities, for instance?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is good. This is a good start. Any other things that come to mind? Maybe just we answer this and then we start narrowing, huh?
Yeah, and just another thought. Normally, when I approach this kind of design question for kids, one thing to keep in mind that is normally for products for kids, right? The purchaser or the buyer are normally from parents. So sometimes we should also think about the needs for parents as well.
Right. So I guess the question is, you know, who is your target user, right? All right. So I'm going to pretend I'm the interviewer. We'll go through this together. But so age group, good question. Let's say that I say, okay, it's for ages, you know, 11 to 15 or 10 to 15. All right. Is it for PC or mobile? You know, let's say, you know, that it's for both, okay? But mostly mobile. Let's make it mobile. Makes more sense, right? Because people are always on the road. Why do this app? Okay, any kind of sense from you that why this app makes sense?
I have a couple of things that come to my mind, like it can be a mental health app that is for meditation or some mental health issues or something like that. Then physical fitness apps. Then it can be since 10 to 15 age is like a teenage age wherein people are, they are cautious or self-aware of their body image, kind of for that app. Or smoking, drugs, drinking, then AIDS awareness, all those. There are different kinds of things that come to my mind for that age group if we target that
Right.
persona.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
of all those things that you mentioned, I think that the ones that are of concern, you know, at least in this country, I think is, you know, the drugs addiction, as well as, you know what, being shot in the school.
Yeah.
And death, right? Death.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of the things that happen to kids at this age is they are run over. There's also, they die in car crashes and things like that, right? And they're being shot at. So all those things are good, good answers for this, right? Basically, I think that the interviewer will say, you know, there's a concern about, you know, the teenagers dying, and it's even growing, right? And then the one thing that we didn't ask here is where, you know, are we making this, since we're making this app, right? This app, an application on the mobile phone, and usually you think, okay, if it's a mobile phone, is it like a smartphone or is it a dumb phone? So is it for a developed country or an underdeveloped country? Because for an underdeveloped country, the causes of death are probably going to be a little bit different, you know, like in Africa, than for a Western country. So I would say here, you know, that's also a very good question, right? It's like where?
Yeah.
So I would say, okay, so let's say that this is for the US. Okay? And so that gives us a little bit more context, right? As to what kinds of health apps. So then this question of, is this preventative? Is it for mental health? That's pretty good. You know, preventative means to keep the kid, you know, healthier. I would say, you know, for both, you know, it can be for both, and you know, keeping healthy physically as well as mentally. And then in terms of disabilities, yeah. Okay, now in terms of narrowing the scope, I probably would say it's not for disabled kids because they probably have more things to worry, you know, than you know, other regular kids. So making an app for both is probably not going to be feasible. So I would say just for the teenagers that do not have disabilities. So now here is, who is the target user, right? I mean, this is for kids, but who could be the users of this app? Any thoughts? Because I would ask that of the interviewee.
It could be
think it
the
would also be like teachers, right? Potentially.
Yeah, let's list them all.
Yeah.
Let's list them all. Who could be the users?
Yeah, so the children themselves.
Okay. Teenager. What do you call? It's not teenager. These are like adolescent, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll just call them kids. Sure. Okay. What else?
The teachers.
Teacher. Okay. An obvious one is the parent, right? I think.
Yeah.
Parents.
Pediatrician.
Like doctors. Yeah.
Doctor. What else? Who else?
Insurance companies.
Hmm?
Health insurance companies, maybe.
Insurance.
Health insurance companies.
Health insurance companies. Okay.
Does therapist come under doctors, or
I'm sorry?
like mental therapists? Those
Yeah.
come under doctors?
So put that under doctor, right? Doctors,
Okay.
psychiatrists. Other one that I'm thinking of is the school. All right, pretty good list here. All right, so let's think about then this. Now, what is the? We didn't finish answering the why, right? I mean, the why is going to be, you know, we want to prevent, because I gave you a product of like what's happening in the United States, which is kids are dying either because they're being shot at or they're being run over in car accidents. not only, another thing that's related to health is, kids get exposed, to drugs, alcohol, whatever. And that, of course, in the long run is detrimental to their health. So all these issues surrounding, the Western world type of society and what happens to teenagers here. So if I say that, then what would be the goal of this app?
Would it be some sort of like first response or a way to convey danger and get help?
Could be, yeah, could be. Right. Let's start putting here. A health response. That could be one. What else?
An individual storytelling platform wherein you have like peer support and kind of a platform to express your issues or talk about your own life situations.
So don't focus on the solution. Focus on what you were saying, which is to provide support.
Yeah.
To provide support, and here you are thinking a little bit on the mental part. I think to provide support to who? To the kids?
Yeah,
the
to the
parents?
kids.
Okay. And that support would lead them to be healthier. Okay. All right. Anything else? I have one that is general. That is to prevent kids from illness or death. And this could be physical or mental illness. Any other goals?
Prevention from drug or alcoholic addiction.
Yeah, I think that that I would back it into here, like getting sick, illness.
Okay.
Since the users are like teachers, parents, doctors, health insurance companies, and school, can a goal be like for centralizing information about a particular child, like medical history and stuff like that?
I'm sorry?
So since there are vast number of users, like there could be teachers and parents, and when because we're, I don't know, sort of storing a child's health information, right? Could it also be to like centralize their medical information? Could that be a goal of this product so that this is accessible to schools and doctors and stuff like that?
But thinking beyond storing the data, which already, you are thinking about centralizing the information about the student, but what would be the usage of that information? What would be the end objective?
Yeah, sure. It would be to like prevent from illness and stuff like that. So the information could be used for like providing support or preventing illness.
I see. And give me an example.
So let's say if you know a student has anxiety, right? And this is being recorded in the app and you're sort of figuring this out. A teacher in the whatever in a school environment can make sure that he or she or they are aware that the student is prone to anxiety attacks. And because this information is centralized, it's easily available for teachers to handle and sort of, prevent the student from getting an anxiety attack.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that, for that solution to be effective, it probably is just much more than just storing data, right? It has to have a way to actually analyze the data, monitor, and then raise some kind of flags, right,
Sure.
to the people that care for the kid.
Sure, I agree.
So what should we call that? The goal would be to to monitor the kids' wellness, okay? Embrace it's sort of like an alarm thing, which is sort of like this health response, right, in a nutshell. This one is similar to this.
Can awareness be a goal as well? Can awareness be a goal as well? Like spreading awareness through this app?
Yeah, I think that raising alarm or awareness is similar, right? So we can bucket that there. I think that the idea is to, monitor what's happening with the kid, right? And do something about it. Okay. Good. So all these things, health response, monitor the kid, provide support to the kids, prevent kid from illness or death. I think that, I think, for example, I think this one that I wrote here encompasses providing support. Because this could be mental illness. Health response, that is more narrow, right? So between these two, which one should we choose to say, okay, this is the goal of the app? I like health response too, so whichever you think is going to help design this app better.
Just a quick.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just a quick question. Are we trying to pick one of the goals, or are we trying to incorporate a couple goals in the coming design?
Yeah, I think it's better to start with one goal, that is going to allow you to create something that is impactful, right?
Okay, so your question is about prioritizing between 1 and 3 or among all 4 of them?
No, 1 and 3, because these three encompasses 2, and 1 is the same as 4. So it's between 1 and 3.
Got it.
So between creating a health response app or an app to prevent kids from illness or death. The health response, it looks like it's going to lead us to something that is more direct, right? Do we want to start with that?
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking just between number 1 and 3, it sounds like the number 1, for example, it sounds like a more short term, like one of the moment kind of things. Somebody could take action on, get help. Right? Let's say somebody in immediate danger, somebody can do something with the app directly to get a result. Whether number 3, it feels like a more long-term goal where, hey, it has to be a solution where we have to ask or we need the users to actually consistently engage the app to see a result. So, these two sounds like you could go very both way of the spectrum. But I think, number 1, it seems to me more short term, and it also goes on just about getting help. I think it kind of solving a problem of the lack of security, right? So sometimes it's not just about the action that you take at the moment, but just having the fact, the feeling that you will be rest assured with a solution at your hand. So
you would be. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You have the sense of security by just having the app. Not necessarily you need to use the app. So I think that that risk assured feeling appeals to me, and it feels like it's a bigger pain to solve.
Yeah, I agree. So should we go for the short term or something that is long term? I frankly don't know. I think that's probably easier to think of this one, right? because
Yeah,
it's
let's
narrow.
go with the short term.
Mhm.
Let's go with the short term.
Right? You know, and maybe we can give, you know, like Xavi said, examples to the interviewer and say, you know what, with this help response, maybe we can do something to prevent that kid from being shot, okay, at the moment. Or maybe, you know, getting into a car, you know, where somebody's drunk driving, right? But for this one, you know, if we want to actually help with, for example, long-term issues like depression, right? Or people or kids that are suicidal. This is just going to help to save the kid maybe that month, right? But if we create something long-term, it has to deal more with the long-term behavior and long-term mental health. That's the way I would put it, and then I will give the interviewer the option to, you know, tell me, you know, want to focus on this or this. So let's do the help response. I think that's probably a good one. I'm gonna take a picture before I delete it. All right. So let's start with thinking about, okay, so now that we have the goal, let's put the goal here. No, is the goal very big here to respond and avoid, you know, avoid injury or something or harm, right? All right, to kid. That should be our goal. All right, so let's start with the use case scenario. So yeah, what do you think is next? What should we do next? Which I gave you the clue.
I think we have a goal in general, but it's not yet very specific. So I think from there we can think about multiple like user scenarios, right? Or just thinking about in what situations a kid would need to get help or need to get response from. So from there, I think we can build a more specific experience for a particular situation.
Yeah. Let's think of scenarios. Okay.
Before we dive into the scenarios, I just wanted to clarify, did we pick any user groups? Like, is it kids, teachers, parents? So we listed out those.
So what do you think? I have my personal thoughts on this. I think that they say that it takes a village to raise a kid or something. So I think that a lot of people should be involved, right? Probably for me, I think that everybody that has to do with the life of the kid, probably the teacher, definitely, of course, the parents, right? The kid itself, possibly the doctor. Health insurance, I don't know. I'm probably be concerned if the health insurance knows that my kid's doing drugs, and if he dies and they don't pay me, well, not that I want.
I think instead of health insurance companies, do you think it might make sense to have like the cops or like some sort of
Policemen?
Yeah.
Well, with the track record that they have in the United States, I would be really scared that they come and start shooting my kid. So,
but I think, there's a point where, let's say, if it's a situation that, the kid is, getting very dangerous ideas, have a risk of, getting shot, being abducted, that kind of stuff. I think law enforcement would be a persona that makes sense here.
That's a good point. So we can put the police here. All right. So let's put that there, police. Okay. School, definitely. I want the school to be involved. But I don't want the insurance. No. I just want money. All right. Do we agree on that?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of torpedoing this whole exercise, but I guess playing the devil's advocate here, we're trying to solve this problem of being able to respond and help kids avoid injury, right? And So, how many kids actually have a smartphone to begin with? And like, is an app really the solution that we want to tackle? Like, I would
Yeah.
argue that it may not be just an app, it may be a broader solution, and then an app could be part of that. So, I think you have to think about you really have to be concrete about what the problem is you're solving and
Yeah,
who's the primary user.
I totally agree with you, right? I mean, when I saw this question, it was asked at an actual interview. I was like, another freaking app? You know, it's like, that's not the solution. The solution is actually to talk to your kid.
Right.
You as a parent, so they don't get in trouble. But unfortunately, this is a 15-minute question, right? 15, 20-minute question, and they force you for on purpose, right, to use an app, right?
Okay.
So that's why I put it there. And I frankly, Tina, I totally agree with you, right? Because like, I don't need an app, you know, but I needed somebody to help me on how to, you know, talk to my kid, right? But, you know, totally agree with you.
Okay.
Good point. All right, so let's think of scenarios where kids can be in danger.
Actually, that's a good point Tina brought up about the market. Do we need to think about the competitive market in the space before we dive into the scenarios, or that's for a later part?
No, or because this is a design question,
Okay.
what they're trying to test you on is whether you actually are able to build a solution that meets a major need. And if you're logical enough in your structure, right? So usually a competitive angle doesn't come into place.
Although just a caution in mind, so my experience, I think last month I had a Facebook interview where it's supposed to be a design question, but when it comes to defining the users, right? Hey, I came up with a couple of personas. The interviewer actually asked interesting questions about, hey, how do you think about in terms of numbers? What are the addressable market per each of the persona? So I think it's a good thing to just to practice on your own. When you're doing this kind of design problem, thinking about what's the addressable market, how do you actually come up with a market sizing.
No, I agree with you, Savi. Usually what happens is at the end of this question, they ask you, hey, so size the market for this. But
Yes.
That is the right point to bring up and say, okay, penetration is this because the competition is this much, right? That's where I would bring the sort of like the market share and all.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing to practice on your own, but I know, for the sake of this meetup and the focus, I think we should focus on product design.
Yeah, but I was answering the question in terms of like, what is the structure for the product design answer and your thought process. So I think that talking about the competition at this moment is probably going to be out of context.
Sorry, I just had another quick follow-up. Do we think about business goals at all at this point in time, whether we're looking for user growth and stuff like that? Does that factor in when we're saying to respond, whatever, like that's the main goal?
Yeah, that's a good point, right? I mean, definitely I would ask that question, who is making this app?
Right.
What's the business model, right? And usually what happens with these design questions is that they are really interested in seeing whether you can design the app, right? And how you go in the flow. And they might say to you, maybe it's a non-profit that is doing this, right? Or something like that. But, it's a good point.
Okay.
All right, so scenarios where kids get into trouble. Come on, guys. You've never gotten into trouble as a kid.
So as a kid, you would, when you hang with friends, right, you would just, wandering around, getting into, pretty dangerous neighborhood that you have no idea. So at that point, I think, the kids, probably, somebody around the kids should be aware that, oh, hey, your kid's getting into a very, insecure area around the city.
Yeah, actually, that what you just said, let me thought about something that we haven't done and we should do. which is let's go deeper into the kids and the parents, okay? So this is a good way to show that you're thinking a little bit deeper about the users, because that's going to help you think about scenarios. So if we talk about the adolescents, right, and you think about the different kinds of adolescents there are, you know, I would throw, for example, out there, you know, there is the guy that wants to fit in, right? And then there are other kinds of kids. So let's think in those terms, because that's going to lead us to think about what situations they may run to. So for kids, I would say, okay, there's the kid that wants to fit in, you know, and will cave into peer pressure. Any other kind of segmentation that you might think of?
So are we thinking of the segmentation based on they get into trouble?
Yeah, exactly. So think about the behaviors or attitudes that kids may have that, you know, can get them into situations where, you know, they may get into trouble or not, you know, or just to describe the different kinds of kids, because they are not all the same. There's, for example, the bully, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Trouble. There's also, for example, this ostracized kid. You know,
Or like a perfectionist who puts a lot under a lot of pressure, right?
perfectionist.
Kids who might have social anxiety or something like that.
What would you call those? What would you call those? You know, I would put that into the people that want to fit in, or maybe it's different. Maybe you're talking about people, you know, kids that are depressed, but that's just a symptom. It's more like an attitude. What's the attitude?
Mm,
Or maybe you're right. Maybe it's an
OCD? I don't know.
anxious kid,
Yeah.
right? Trouble kid or something like that, right? All right.
Another thing that comes to my mind, sorry, just chiming in, safety, like for instance, safety around playground or classrooms, or say if they're somewhere outside in the outdoors. So that kind of like in situational safety.
In terms of, you mean in scenarios?
Like kids getting hurt while they're playground, or say on an outdoor situation where just like first aid kind of.
You're talking about scenarios now.
Yeah, I guess I'm. Yeah.
Yeah, hold that for a minute.
All right.
We're going to come to that. I just wanted to finish the different segmentations, because this is really good to learn, you know, to learn how to segment, you know, besides, demographics. Demographics are not useful at all to actually come up with good ideas or use case scenarios. It's more about the attitude, the behavior of the person that you need to describe in a way that's going to lead you to use cases, you know, that are specific to them, and then look for sort of like extreme users. So I think that's why I wanted to go through this, because this has been definitely very useful for me. How about parents? What kinds of parents are there in terms of their attitudes toward their kids?
Busy working parents.
Busy.
Helicopter.
Helicopter.
What do you mean by helicopter? I'm sorry.
Oh, they're constantly observing their kids.
Okay.
And like they don't want them to get injured, right?
Like overprotective.
Overprotect. I'll put here also
So that,
the well-intended. The well-intended, but does harm. Like, I think the parents that are not aware of the junk that their kids are eating or anything like that, and they give them junk at home. What else?
Single. Single
Who?
moms, single moms, or single
Single
parent, basically.
parent. Okay. Well, that says more about the parent itself than their attitude, but let's just leave that for a moment here.
Troubled
But-
parents?
Who?
Troubled, like
Trou-
they are troubled themselves and they kind of take that on the kids as well.
Yeah, I was about going for something like that, like either troubled or absent. Like,
Absent. Yeah, I like that, absent. Let's put that trouble here. Like to preoccupy with themselves. Right? All right, good stuff. All right, how about teachers? Kinds of teachers are out there. I would start with the mentor. There are some teachers that actually like to mentor kids. What else?
The newbie, new teachers who don't know how to deal with kids.
Newbie. Okay. What else?
disciplinarians who are like strict. And
Yeah, that's strict teacher. Very good. What else?
There might be some absent teachers as well who
Yeah.
like, I
I
mean,
would say,
they just do their job and they don't want to get.
yeah, they don't care too much.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now let's, now that we have an idea of the different personalities that we have here, now let's go into scenarios, with that context in mind. And Praneet, you were saying about playgrounds, or Puneet, sorry.
yeah, like safety, like either in classroom or playground or like outdoors.
But give me a sentence that say, describe a situation. Not a noun or anything like that. Describe a situation of like, for example, when kids go to a playground, they can run into drug dealers or something like that, right?
Yeah, or a kid getting injured while in the playground and they need immediate help in that situation.
But remember, these are, 10 to 15. Do they still play in playgrounds? I guess they do, right? Okay. Keep playing in playground. Gets hurt. Okay? Needs attention. Okay. What else? I will put here one. Kid gets in car with drunk driver. This is number one death, I think, of kids. Okay, what else?
A kid feeling anxious because they're being bullied or they're feeling unsafe in their group or that environment.
So I would put, it would may lead them to be suicidal, right? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe I wasn't thinking that extreme, but just feeling unsafe and like anxious and just being like in a very distressed kind of situation.
Yeah, and that could lead to what?
I guess it could lead to
Maybe I can chime in, like maybe anxiety attacks or depression. That's the
Yeah.
attitude of someone feeling pressured and stuff like that, right?
or
Just
some
feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
erratic behavior. They might hit somebody out of that anxiety or that feeling of lack of safety.
So let's put here, you said depressed or anxiety?
Yeah.
Depressed or anxious kid
Or panic.
can hurt someone or themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like kids on the spectrum, right? There are situations where there is no specific trigger. They just kind of have like an anxious attack.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even just any kid, like just feeling overwhelmed and stressed and isolated. And it's like what that can spiral into depending on the child's like mental health.
Overwhelmed kid, spiraling, and unsafe behavior. You mean, like for example, Tina, if they are like overwhelmed, what could they do?
Well, I mean, it could lead to depression. You don't want to wait till they're like depressed
Right.
and suicidal. You want to like manage their overall mental health before it gets to that stage.
Right.
It's like an opportunity to teach them better tools for handling stress, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Right. I just want to bring, because we were focusing on the response.
Hmm.
Just want to highlight that, because I agree with you. You need to control something before it happens. But maybe it's a response. Maybe it's a response.
Yeah, I would say it's the proactive intervention.
Yeah. Okay. Any other situations?
What about examination pressure or academic pressure? Because we are talking about kids, right? So there's always stress in terms of competition.
I think that goes under here, overwhelmed.
Sure.
It can be put in here. Something that I want to put down here is if you have a shooter in the school, all right, which is not funny, but it happens here. Okay, what else?
So my dilemma is with terms of drugs and like school shootings, they are more of I don't know, social issues than health issues. At least I wasn't able to piece like the two together when we were talking about health and we were talking about like social issues like shooting in school. So uh, I don't know. I'm still unclear on that aspect.
Which aspect?
Just in terms of how it, so when we started off with the health app and then we started talking about more social related issues, like getting into a car with a drunk driver or encountering a drug peddler or like shooters in school, I viewed them more from the lens of it being a social issue than a health issue. So I'm not sure if anyone else agrees to that, but
Well, if you think of teachers and parents and other members of the community being users of the app, they might detect. I mean, typically shooters in a school, not always, are students who are depressed or have mental health issues. So if they might be able to notice or that somebody is more depressed or acting different from their norm, that could be something that could be flagged and maybe addressed. I don't know how, but yeah.
Right, we'll talk about that later. But Rachel, just to clarify a little bit more of that, since the goal is to avoid injury, right?
Mhm.
That can mean either death or you hurt your body, or it could be also depression or mental problems that can lead to dying or
Right.
injuring yourself or anything like that. So that's why we're covering all of them.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Good. Any other ideas? Any other use cases or scenarios?
Kid obesity. Do we have that covered?
Obesity.
Obesity is a big
scenarios. Okay, so this could be kids not eating, kids
or
eating,
nutrition.
eating unhealthy every day. Eating junk. Okay, I think we have a lot of them. These scenarios. All right, so let's go to solutions. All right. It's interesting, you know, when I was looking at depressed kids, like, what if you're depressed because your parents are just not paying attention to you or whatever? Although, does that happen? Yeah, maybe you have an issue with your parent. So the teacher should be involved, right? Anyways, I'm just like thinking ahead. Okay, solutions. Let's let's prioritize here some needs, or do we want to work on all of them first?
I would say we would prioritize because that's one of the biggest skills that you show as a product manager.
Right. So let's prioritize. And what's going to be our prioritization criteria? It has to be aligned with the goal, right? So impact to the goal, so that you know, we need to prioritize cases where we need to respond to avoid injury, right?
Effort.
And hmm?
We can add effort, like time or cost parameters.
Yeah, I have an issue with that, before I didn't, but I do. Prioritizing use cases based on effort or cost, because we are not solving it yet. I really don't have an idea of the cost, first of all. Would I have an idea of the effort? What are your thoughts on that, guys?
I
I
agree
think
with the
normally,
cost.
yeah, there are two sets of prioritization, like what Melina said. Right now, just thinking about what use case to solve, I think it's about the size of the pain, right? Hey, we have all these scenario. I mean, not every pain is made equal, right? So I think for now, the main goal for prioritization is thinking about what is the biggest pain to solve, and then I think from there, the next iteration is going to be, hey, go for a particular pain. We come up with multiple options to solve that, and from there, I think we can talk about cost implementation, so on and so forth.
And you made me think about is the impact to the goal, but also I think is it the most frequent case? I mean, that's the way I would do it. Like most frequency, because then you're actually prioritizing the goal and prioritizing the number of times it can occur. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think I like that idea. I was thinking something as same lines, like what can create most impact, and we can either go for the low hanging fruits or tackle the biggest problem we have in hand.
Okay, let's try to do both. Let's try to prioritize on both. So let's put numbers here. Impact to goal first. So keep playing. Let's read them at once and get a gut feeling. Keep playing in playground gets hurt. That's definitely close to the goal. Kid gets in the car with a drunk driver. Yeah, that's very dangerous. So here, kids get depressed or anxious. Kid can hurt someone or themselves. So let's start putting numbers here. I'm gonna put the first goal here, which this is impact to the goal, and this is frequency. So what happens here with higher frequency? I think that's probably easier to do. Kids playing in the playground getting hurt, kids getting in the car with a drunk driver, depressed kids, overwhelmed kids, spiraling, shooter in school, kids eating unhealthy every day. So definitely the shooter thing is it's not usual, right? That happens probably. I'm gonna put here 1. How about these other ones? Which one do you think has highest frequency of all this?
Kids eating unhealthy every day.
Yeah. All right, so let's put 5 here. What else comes below that?
Overwhelmed kids, I guess. That's also
Which one?
overwhelmed kids leading to depression.
Is it? Yeah, let's put that 4. Is that the same as? Can we put in there depressed kids, or is that different?
Yeah, it would be 4 as well.
Do you think these two cases are the same?
I think so. It's like a cause and effect kind of
Yeah, they're pretty close together.
situation. Yeah.
Yes.
How about the kid gets in the car, drunk driver? That's more unusual. Kids playing in the playground gets hurt.
I would put a 3 there.
Yeah.
That's probably more frequent than getting in car with drunk driver. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. How about okay? So let's see which one is more has higher impact to the goal of preventing, injury, responding right away. I think kids eating unhealthy, that's kind of hard. I want to put that 1. Right? You cannot be after them. You have to be after the parents. And that doesn't get injury short term but long term. Shooter in school. That's big, right? I'm gonna put 5 here. Kids playing in the playground and can get hurt. What do you think? That's 4.
I would think so, because that's like immediate response needed.
Response. How about kids being depressed, overwhelmed between this and getting in the car with drunk driver? I think this is 4 too. I would say maybe, because I wouldn't like my kid to get in the car with a drunk driver. I would like to avoid that. And kids getting depressed, overwhelmed. That's probably a
Yeah, sorry, I got a feeling that the drunk driver situation is kind of similar to the shooter situation. Happens very infrequently, but then needs really immediate intervention or some like immediate response. While depressed and anxious situations are kind of like semi long term.
Yeah.
It's a close 4 or a 3.
Yeah. So let's sum this up. This is 7. This is 7. Wow, this is difficult. These are 7. This is 6 and 6. So these 3. Playing with driver, getting in the drunk driver car, and depression. What do you think of that? Make sense?
For the drunk driver thing, like because we're projecting 10 to 15 years of age, that was initial. Wasn't the likelihood of that happening even lower than 2?
I don't know. I think kids here are really wild. What do you guys think? I don't know. Maybe that's 1. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's lower. What is your perception of American kids?
I'm telling you, not good, not good. Okay, so we have the winners here. Okay, number 1 is going to be keep playing playground. And the other one is depressed or anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, and try to catch that to avoid any harm. Okay. So we have these two. Let's go into solutions. Let's start brainstorming. Remember, it's an app for the phone, right? So let's start with solutions for one. Keep playing in the playground and gets hurt, and you wanna respond really quickly, or not, depending on the injury, right? Ideas?
Couple of things come to my mind. One is something like a panic button, wherein kids are immediately able to connect with somebody responsible, either a school authority or first aid or that kind of a situation.
Mhm.
Or second thing that comes to my mind is quick tips where kids can take the right actions immediately, or some guidance where, based on that situation, they know, okay, do this, like
Mhm.
grab an elder or look for the senior most person around or something.
Yeah, what do you call that? What do you call that? Like first aid or something like that? Aid guidance? Let's put it first aid guidance.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What else?
Display safe zones based on where you are and the scenario you are in.
Display the zone where you are, the location.
No, display safe zones based on where you are located, the nearest safe zones.
Why?
Like
Why? Why?
Like
Why?
if the kid is in a playground and if there's suddenly a shootout, kind of show the nearest safe zones where to hide.
But we scratch that shooting thing, right? It's more like they're being hurt because they are being rough or something.
So, the kids playing in the playground, how are they getting hurt? Like, what are the scenarios they can get hurt? Probably that can lead us to creative solutions.
Yeah, we should have thought about that, right? So, what kind of scenarios are we thinking?
So
You know,
sports related injuries, like let's say if they're playing soccer or football or baseball or whatever, and then they get injured as a result of that.
all right.
I mean, I would assume that we've covered most like common types of ways to get hurt on a playground by first aid guidance. So if something is like you scrape yourself or you injure something, first aid guidance covers that first level. And if
Yeah.
you think that you can't cover that with first aid, then there's a panic button for you to be able to escalate that situation. So
yeah, these two go together. Okay.
yeah.
So I had a question regarding the panic button. Like the idea is great, but then why wouldn't you call 911 versus press the panic button in this app?
Yeah, of course. That's a good question.
So the panic button, in my opinion, can be for local authorities, but let's say they're playing in a school ground and they need to alert school authorities. They can also send an alert to them rather than just calling 911 up.
Like the teacher on
Okay.
duty
Okay.
and the school nurse maybe and things like that.
So, but what happens? Okay. So, would you call your parent too? Like maybe it's the panic button to call everybody.
Sure.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could tier who gets contacted maybe. Because you don't want to be bothering busy parents with something that's not that serious in the middle of the day, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the kid can program it and maybe it has different levels, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. The panic button, I'm thinking, will also can, well, you can, videotape yourself, right? You can think of different things here. All right. The panic button, call everybody, send location, of course. What else?
Maybe the first aid guidance would be like very high level for the kid to determine if they should walk or not. And then there would be a next level first aid guidance for the teacher or a nurse, somebody who could actually administer like ice or elevate their, whatever injury and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, any other things? Yeah, go ahead.
This is pertaining to the depressed or overwhelmed. Something that gets the kid to check in on their emotional situation, whether it's exam anxiety or some like social dynamic of that situation, whether it's bullying or something where they're able to like check in that situation.
That's a good idea. Maybe it's a daily check-in with a friend, right? Because I think kids at this age, they really don't want to share with their parents. They have like a sense of independence, but they might want to share with somebody that they trust, right?
Yep.
Or we can give them like a test or something like that on the app, which determines what's your.
What do you mean by that?
I was saying we can probably build a test of questions on the app. That's a daily check-in. They answer those questions, and then it gives the level of depression or something like that.
Yeah.
We can even design this even better, right? Because
Right.
maybe it's not a question, maybe it's a situation that can be depicted. But it's a great idea.
So actually, like there are a couple of mental health apps that are in the market right now, and all they ask you is, "How are you feeling today?" And then you choose a feeling. You choose anxious, worried, depressed, scared, and then it gives you recommended actions based on the feeling that you have.
Yeah. All right. Any other one?
So for the depression and overwhelmed kid, probably we can also provide them guidance on some meditation tips or actions to take based on the
For the
check-in
kids.
levels that they have. Yeah, for the kids.
I doubt that kids will meditate.
You never know. Actually, they teach it in certain schools in San Francisco.
Yeah, Berkeley, but forget it.
No, San Francisco.
Well, maybe I put it there. But,
A brief meditation.
breathing exercises, kind of, I like.
Yeah. Or
What
even
if-
just prescriptive, like go for a walk, things to like blow off steam or something like
Yeah,
that.
like just take a breath, like take a deep breath. That could just be as simple as that.
Okay, good. I think a big one is, actually meditation for the parents. I would put here guidance.
Yeah, seriously.
Guidance for parents, what to do and how to talk to your kid. And basically give them a plan of action based on what kind of problem their kid is going through.
Yeah. That's a good idea. And then also just communication tips for the kid.
Yeah.
Like to communicate to people that they need support, people they trust, and things like
That's really good. That can go with the daily check-in.
Mm-hmm.
What if we also have something around like a game to deal with some of these anxiety issues?
Mm-hmm. Great idea. Games for anxiety. Games to diffuse.
Are games or even like images and things that can help you calm down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like funny videos or something like that.
Well, I wasn't talking about funny videos, but but that could also be an option. was talking more about like visuals that generally help people calm down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, watching like Looney Tunes or something might also be.
Okay, so we have a lot of this, and how we're going to prioritize these solutions. So, you know, the way IDEO does it, which I like it very much, is with three things. They say, okay, basically desirability by the user. Does the user actually desire this kind of solution? Then it's feasibility. Can it be done with the technology that we have available today? And then viability for the business. In this case, viability, there's no business. It's a non-profit, right? But I like the way they put it here. And I wanted to use this today as opposed to, of course, it has to be aligned with the goal, but we already have assured that it's aligned. But how about, you know, being the impact to what's more desirable for the user? And then if it's feasible. So which one would be more desirable that would have the highest impact to our users of this? The panic button?
I think
That seems
more
like-
the daily check-in and things that address mental health, because kids aren't really worrying about getting hurt and first aid and things like that.
Yeah, I would say this one here is high. Guidance for parents, I think, is high. They need help. I think parents don't know how to deal with kids.
I think even the meditation, right, for kids, or like, I think you can combine the 4 and 6, I think.
Blow
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah, yeah.
And 6 too. All of the mental health related stuff. The
All of
one
the-
below it too.
With this one here.
Even the games, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these 4, right? All these 4. Good. And this panic button on first aid, I think, is secondary. I think this is probably, although that goes to the short term, right? You don't want the kid to be injured.
Yeah, and I think one more thing I think for prioritization, which might be helpful, is around frequency of usage. So in that case, that would automatically make you like something on top of this would be how frequent. Do you want to make an app that's going to be, or sorry, some sort of
And it's going to be used daily.
yeah, is it going to be more frequently, or is it once in time?
Yeah, I think we want them to engage all the time. You're right. So that's also a good thing. Frequency. Okay. So based on that, I think it makes sense, right? These 4 make sense to me. And in terms of feasibility, totally feasible, I think, right? I don't think there's anything here that it's rocket science.
Yeah, and I would also ask the interviewer that question, right? Like, because they might be looking at something that has a lot of impact, but probably doesn't get used very often, like I don't know, like a panic button when there's like some sort of shooter or something, right? So I think that's probably a question to clarify as well while going through this.
All right. Well, I think that that's that, right? I think that this is the winner. I like this one. The next step would be, and we don't have time for that, but to actually do a wireframe of this app, which if you want to do at home, you know, that would really be very impressive in the interview.
Do you think we can do that in like 20-25 minutes?
Probably not.
This was a question that was asked to a friend of mine at Google a few days ago, and he made it in the interview. Got an offer, but he was saying that the time just flew by so quickly that he had to narrow it down very fast.
Yes, that's the problem with these questions,
And
right?
we have 2 prioritization that we did, one with the scenarios and one with the app. All those things will take quite a bit of time.
Yeah, I think when it comes to prioritization, maybe here we do a quick run
Yeah.
You know, of all these, I think that the one that is the most likely to happen is this. So I'm gonna go with that, right?
Yeah.
And then here we just quickly say, okay, the 4 below, they seem to me that, you know, they have, you know, higher frequency because it's daily. And if we want our app to be used daily, then those would be the better solutions. But yeah, I think the prioritization is what takes time. So we have to find a way to go more with just a high level appreciation. All right, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Impressive. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.